message. This bell dates back to 1753. Two local metal workers, John Pass and John Stowe, had taken an English-made bell that was made of Whitechapel at the east end of London, and unfortunately that bell cracked when they tested it behind the building. So Pass and Stowe decided to try to recast it, and it took them 2 times to get it right. And it went into the tower of that building across the street. It used to be called the Pennsylvania State House, now called Independence Hall, and it rang for over 90 years, including a very important first public reading of the Declaration of Independence that took place on July the 8th of 1776. This bell oftentimes would summon people to the yard behind that building to hear what all the news was. They had heard the very first public reading of the Declaration of Independence. And it became a standing tradition here in Philadelphia that every July the 4th, they would ring this bell to try to achieve independence from Great Britain. They were successful, and the bell continued to ring well into the 1830s. But by the 1840s, something sounded a little bit different with the bell. They investigated and found a very thin hairline crack in the bell wall, which they tried to repair in the winter of 1846. We don't know exactly when or why or how the bell cracked. Probably it just wore out over the course of time. Now, they did a method called stop drilling that Big Ben in London was repaired that way, and that still continues to ring successfully. You drill out and separate where the original hairline fracture occurred in the bell wall. Now, this was done in the winter of 1846, and it would only ring for just one more occasion, as it turns out, ringing for the birthday of George Washington in February of 1846. They rang it for several hours, and a second hairline crack developed in the bell wall. If you look very closely, you can see it. A P in Philadelphia, through Pass and Stowe's names, they were the makers of the bell, and continues its way all the way up to the crown or the top. Now, why is this bell called the Liberty Bell? Well, for one thing, it does have a very important message. Leviticus 25:10, proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof, was perhaps chosen by the legislature of Pennsylvania to remind Pennsylvania of the religious freedom they had under William Penn's Charter of Privileges. William Penn was a Quaker, and he was actually thrown into the Tower of London for distributing Quaker material. But his father was the admiral in the Royal Navy, and he gave about 10,000 pounds British sterling to King Charles II during the Restoration period. Eventually, Penn's father died, and Penn, being the oldest son, in lieu of getting his payment, he decided that he wanted to have land in the New World to practice his Quaker religion. And it was a little bit over 50 years since Penn granted the folks here in Pennsylvania religious freedom. Throughout the British Empire, you were oftentimes restricted from actually publicly practicing your own religion, but not here in William Penn's Pennsylvania. And groups of abolitionists in the 1830s were mindful that according to this biblical inscription, every 50 years, as part of the Golden Jubilee, the ancient Israelites would forgive all debts and also free their slaves. So the abolitionists married the idea of having a bell of liberty for independence in 1776 with trying to abolish slavery here in the United States. And the whole concept of a Bell of Liberty took off. And many groups of people, as you've probably seen in the video, have embraced this bell as part of their message for their cause. Liberty is oftentimes a concept that we can't necessarily see or taste or touch, but we certainly know when we no longer have it. And that's the strength of this old bell, is its message. It doesn't ring any longer, but it does have an important message, and that's one of liberty. Folks, thanks for taking time out to visit us here at Liberty Bell. I'll be standing off here to the side in case you have any questions. We'll try to keep the front of the bell open for photographers. Have a great day, and please enjoy the rest of your